Hello, and welcome back to the Southern Bible Thumper channel. This video, we will be reading Genesis chapter 38. And it came to pass at that time that Judah went down from his brethren and turned into a certain Adulamite, whose name was Hira. And Judah saw there was a daughter of a certain Canaanite, whose name was Shua, and he took her and went in unto her, and she conceived and bare a son, and he called his name And she conceived again, and bare a son, and she called his name Onan. And yet, and she yet again conceived, and bare a son, and called his name Selah. And he was at Shizib when she bare him. And Judah took a wife for his firstborn, whose name was Tamar. And Judah's firstborn, was wicked in the sight of the Lord, and the Lord slew him. And Judah said unto Onan, Go in unto thy brother's wife, and marry her, and raise up seed to thy brother. And Onan knew that the seed should not be his. And it came to pass, when he went in unto his brother's wife, that he spilled it on the ground, lest that he should give seed to his brother. And the thing which he did displeased the Lord, wherefore he slew him also. Then said Judah to Tamar his daughter-in-law, Remain a widow at thy father's house, till Shelah my son be grown. For he said, Lest peradventure he die also, as his brethren did. And Tamar went and dwelt in her father's house. And in process of time, the daughter of Shua, Judah's wife, died. And Judah was comforted, and went up unto his sheep-shearers to Timnath, he and his friend Hira the Adulamite. And it was told Tamar, saying, Behold, thy father-in-law goeth up to Timnath to shear his sheep. And she put her widow's garments off from her, and covered her with a veil, and wrapped herself, and sat in an open place, which is by the way to Timnath, for she saw that Shelah was grown, and she was not given unto him to wife. When Judah saw her, he thought her to be an harlot, because she had covered her face. And he turned unto her by the way, and said, Go to, I pray thee, let me come in unto thee. For he knew not that she was his daughter-in-law. And she said, What wilt thou give me, that thou mayest come in unto me? And he said, I will send thee a kid from the flock. And she said, Wilt thou give me a pledge till thou send it? And he said, What pledge shall I give thee? And she said, Thy signet, and thy bracelets, and thy staff that is in thine hand. And he gave it to her, and came in unto her, and she conceived by him. And she arose and went away, and laid by her veil from her, and put on the garments of her widowhood. And Judah sent the kid by the hand of his friend the Adulamite to receive his pledge from the woman's hand, but he found her not. Then he asked the men of that place, saying, Where is the harlot that was openly by the wayside? And they said, There was no harlot in this place. And he returned to Judah, and said, I cannot find her. And also the men of the place said that there was no harlot in this place. And Judah said, Let her take it to her, lest we be shamed. Behold, I sent this kid, and thou hast not found her. And it came to pass about 3 months after, that it was told Judah, saying, Tamar thy daughter-in-law hath played the harlot, and also, behold, she is with child by whoredom. She is with child by whoredom. And Judah said, Bring her forth, and let her be burnt. When she was brought forth, she sent to her father-in-law, saying, By the man whose these are, am I with child? And she said, Discern, I pray thee, whose are these, the signet, and bracelets, and staff? And Judah acknowledged them, and said, She hath been more righteous than I, because that I gave her not to Shelah my son. And he knew her again no more. And it came to pass, in the time of her travail, that, behold, twins were in her womb. And it came to pass when she travailed, that the one put out his hand, and the midwife took and bound upon his hand a scarlet thread, saying, This came out first. And it came to pass, as he drew back his hand, that behold, his brother came out, and said, How hast thou broken forth? This breach be upon thee. Therefore his name was called Pharez. And afterward came out his brother, that had the scarlet thread upon his hand, and his name was called Zerah. Summarizing chapter 38, Judah, the brother that sold Joseph into slavery, moved to Adullam to live with a man named Hira. He met Shua's daughter, a Canaanite. She's unnamed. Some translations say that he married her, and some say that he just went in under her, meaning sexual activity. He ended up having three children with her, three boys, and his oldest boy is Er. Judah found Tamar a wife for his first son, but he was wicked in the Lord's sight, so the Lord put him to death. Judah tells Onan, the second son, to marry and to have children with Tamar when died. Onan knew that the child would not be considered his, so he spilled his seed on the ground when he was intimate with her, so she wouldn't get pregnant. This displeased the Lord, so the Lord put him to death as well. Judah tells Tamar to stay in his house as a widow until his youngest son Selah is of age. He fears that he will die also. The daughter of Shua, the unnamed woman that is had children with Judah, it's now named in verse 12 as his wife. So by verse 12, he's married to this daughter of Shua who's unnamed, but she dies in verse 12. Judah and Hira, his friend that he moved down there with, went to Timnath, a different city, to shear sheep. When Tamar found out that Judah left, she takes off her widow clothes, she wears a veil, and she does this because she was not given to Shelah to marry, and Shelah is of age now. In verse 15, Judah thought that she was a prostitute when he saw her because she covered her face. He asked to sleep with her, and she asked, "What will he give her?" And Judah promised her a goat from his flock. She asked for collateral to be sure, since he did not have the goat with him at the time. And so he gave her his signet, which is an identifying ring. She gave him He gave her his signet, his identifying ring. He gave her his cord, which is translated into bracelet, and then he also gave her a walking stick. From this interaction, Tamar gets pregnant. She goes back to Judah's house and puts her widow clothes on again. Judah then sent Hira to bring the goat to her and to get his things back, but he was unable to find her. Hira asked around for the prostitute, and no one knows what she's talking about. Hira returns. He communicates that he can't find her and that no one in the area has seen her. Judah decides to forget it and to let her keep the items to avoid embarrassment. Someone told Judah that Tamar was pregnant. It doesn't say who told him that, but Judah commanded that she be put to death. But as she was being brought forth, she let Judah know that she was pregnant by the man whose things she had, and she presented the ring, the bracelet, the walking stick. He acknowledges them and concedes, stating that she's right because he didn't have Selah marry her as he promised, but he didn't sleep with her again. In verse 27, she was pregnant with twins. A midwife tied a scarlet ring around the first baby's arm, or a scarlet string around the first baby's arm, but he went back in to the mother, and the brother came out first. The first baby's name was Perah. The second baby's name is Pharez. So some highlights. Judah's Judah's wife was unnamed. She was just Shua's daughter, and she was a Canaanite. In verse 12, it was confirmed that she was his wife by the time she died. Abraham and Isaac told their children not to marry Canaanite women, but Joseph and Esau was not as insistent. So by the time Judah came along, maybe times have changed some, relaxed to where marrying these women was not so it wasn't such a it was not the same tradition. And then Judah was the one who he sold his brother into slavery, so he may not he just be a person that doesn't listen to those type of things. Verse 7, Judah and the daughter of Shua had 3 children. Was evil and killed by the Lord. Um, just to illustrate how evil had to be for him to just be murdered before he had any children, um, Joseph's brother, Judah, sold him into slavery. Chapter 38, verse 28. Simeon and Levi committed mass murder. And chapter 34, verse 25 through 31. And a prince essayed or assaulted Dinah, Jacob's daughter, then asked for her hand in marriage. And that was chapter 34, verse 4. So is more evil than all of these people because God put him to death. He just said, you can't, you just can't go on. You can't reproduce. So how evil was this guy? Doesn't name what he did. He was just evil. Tamar was found by Judah to be wife. Once he died, Judah gave her to the second son, Onan. So this tradition of keeping widows in the family and taking care of them is so that a woman can be assured that she will be provided for, and it also helps to produce that lineage. But the problem what displeased the Lord about what he did was not just spilling his seed, it was upholding the agreement. Onan was purposefully not impregnating Tamar because the child would not be his heir. That's what it says in the NLT version of the Bible. I don't remember what that acronym means, but the NLT. Onan marrying and impregnating Tamar would only be considered an extension of heir. It would not be considered, the children would not be considered his own heir. The sin or the thing that displeased God was he was being dishonest and he was avoiding the tradition. So he still decided to have sex with the woman. He just didn't want to uphold the other part of the tradition of being her husband, producing a child with her, and spilling the seed is not the sin. So you have to read multiple translations to get the full scope, which is why he died. It was not spilling the seed, it was because he was being dishonest and avoiding the tradition, not speaking with his father, not trying to get a different solution, just engaging in the activity and not upholding the rest of the agreement. So the last son, Selah, was of age after Judah's wife died. He had already promised him to Tamar, but he did not enforce it. When she learned where Judah would be, she seduced him by pretending to be a prostitute and took his identifying jewelry. He realized that he was wrong for not upholding his agreement, and he didn't have sex with her again. And again, this is the man who sold his brother into slavery. Tamar had twins by her father-in-law after being widowed twice by 2 different brothers. And she was pregnant after pretending to be a prostitute. So that's the story of Tamar. I appreciate you watching this video up until this point. We will be reading chapter 39 next.